Hi, my name is Ken, and I'm a student at the most famous cooking school in the world, Le Cordon Bleu, just a few blocks from the Eiffel Tower. Cordon Bleu Cuisine and Pastry School was founded in Paris in 1895. It owes its name to the ancient and prestigious Royal Order of the Holy Spirit, known as the Order of the Cordon Bleu. As a result, the name Cordon Bleu became synonymous with culinary excellence. Like the students, you too will benefit from the chef's experience, nearly a century of experience in teaching gastronomy. The program is organized in the form of complete menus, from easy to prepare to the more elaborate recipes which will take you progressively towards discovering the subtle nuances of traditional haute cuisine. Welcome to Paris. Today we're at one of the most traditional French bakeries, located not far from the Cordon Bleu cooking school, and one of our students will introduce the dessert recipes.
Hello, my name is Brigitte Sonberger and I'm a student here in Paris at the Cordon Bleu. I'm in a typical Parisian pastry shop and I will introduce to you 4 wonderful recipes performed by our chefs. The first one we will do will be the crème caramel performed by Chef Patrick Martin. I'm sure you will enjoy it. It's a wonderful recipe, easy to understand, and you can fix it quite quickly.
The caramel for this custard will be made with sugar and water. The custard itself consists of egg yolks, whole eggs, sugar, milk, and vanilla powder or vanilla extract. Caramel: a half cup sugar, a quarter cup water. Custard: 2 cups milk, 1 pinch vanilla powder, or 1½ teaspoons vanilla extract, 2 eggs, 4 egg yolks, 2/3 cup sugar. Start by making the caramel. Put the sugar and water into a small saucepan. Stir to moisten the sugar thoroughly and put the pan on medium heat. Use a brush dipped in cold water to clean the sides of the pan. Any sugar remaining on the sides can cause the caramel to crystallize. Now we make the custard. To make the custard, pour the milk into a saucepan. Put it on high heat and add a pinch of vanilla powder or 1 1/2 teaspoons of liquid vanilla extract. Bring the milk to a boil. Then combine the eggs and egg yolks in a bowl. Add the sugar and whisk until the mixture becomes frothy and light. While you are waiting for the milk to boil and the caramel to cook, prepare the hot water bath, or bain-marie. Fill a metal roasting pan halfway with water. Put it on the stove and bring it to a boil. Put some paper towels in the bottom of the pan to prevent the boiling water from splashing into the custard. Continue to brush the inside of the caramel pan to prevent the sugar from crystallizing on the sides. Once the milk comes to a boil, pour it slowly over the eggs and sugar. Stir with a wooden spoon so that it won't become foamy. Don't use a wire whisk, since that would incorporate air and form bubbles on the surface. Stir well and set it aside. Once the caramel reaches the desired color, carefully pour it into a charlotte mold. Quickly and carefully tilt the mold and cover the bottom and sides with the caramel. The color of the caramel can vary from light golden to dark brown, depending on your own taste. But be careful not to make it too dark, or it can be very bitter. Always handle caramel with extreme caution. It is very hot and thus dangerous. Once the mold is lined with caramel, set it aside to cool. Cut a round piece of paper or cardboard to place on top of the mold. This is to protect the custard from the heat of the oven and to prevent it from drying out. Fold the parchment paper in half, then quarters, and then eighths to form a triangle. Measure the size of the mold and cut the paper. Unfold it to make a round cover for the custard. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. The custard must cook very slowly or you risk making scrambled eggs. Once the caramel in the mold has cooled and hardened, pour in the custard mixture. Before cooking it, use a paper towel to remove any foam that may have formed on the surface. Place the mold into the bain-marie and cover it with the paper or cardboard. Carefully move it into the oven. Check it before removing it from the oven. Then, after about 40 minutes of baking, insert a knife in the center to see if it comes out clean. Cool the custard completely, overnight if possible. Once the custard is cooled, slide a small knife around the top edge to detach it from the mold. Heat the bottom of the mold very slightly, just to melt the caramel a little. Invert the serving platter over the mold and turn the two over carefully, but quickly. Remove the mold and serve. And if you want, you can pour a little more caramel around this delicious custard. Chef Petrov is going to prepare feuilletine aux framboises for us. The wafers will be assembled with fresh raspberries and chantilly cream and served with a raspberry coulis. Raspberries and fresh mint will be the decoration. Wafer batter. 5 tablespoons unsalted butter, softened. 1 cup powdered sugar, a ½ cup sifted all-purpose flour, a ¼ cup sifted cake flour, 1 pinch vanilla powder or 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 3 egg whites. Raspberry coulis, 1 pound fresh raspberries, 1 tablespoon powdered sugar. Chantilly cream, 2 cups heavy cream, 6 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 pinch vanilla powder or 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. 1 pound fresh raspberries, fresh mint leaves, unsalted butter softened for baking sheets. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Here is the butter, raspberries, fresh mint, and this is a heavy cream which we'll use for decoration at the end. For the wafer batter, we will use butter, powdered sugar, egg whites, and vanilla. In pastry terminology, this batter is what we call a creamy batter because we start it by working first with the butter. The chantilly cream is made with pasteurized cream, which contains about 18% fat. This cream is whipped, sweetened, and flavored. So, Now we will start the batter. First, brush 2 or 3 baking sheets with softened butter. These baking sheets should be perfectly clean. The butter has softened to room temperature. Do not melt it on the stove. The chef is now measuring all the ingredients for the batter. 5 tablespoons of unsalted softened butter, 1 cup of powdered sugar, 3 egg whites, a half a cup of sifted all-purpose flour, and don't forget a 1/4 cup of sifted cake flour. So, all the ingredients are now ready. It is important to have everything ready before you start. Now we start the batter. First, whisk the softened butter in a mixing bowl. Watch this very carefully, as it is important that you combine these ingredients in exactly the same order as the chef is doing. When the butter becomes very creamy, you add the powdered sugar and mix it well.
Le sucre glace, et on crème le beurre et le sucre. Alors le beurre est bien mélangé. Alors ici le problème, c'est les blancs doivent être à la température du beurre.
Whisk in the egg whites gradually.
Et on va mettre les blancs en plusieurs parties.
Another important point here is that the egg whites must be at the same temperature as the butter. In fact, this is true for all the ingredients, so leave them out for about an hour before starting the batter.
Une pincée de vanille.
Now you add the flour and a pinch of powdered vanilla or 1 teaspoon of liquid vanilla extract. The batter is ready. Put it in the refrigerator for at least 10 minutes before baking. This is to harden it slightly. Meanwhile, we are going to finish preparing the baking sheets by lightly dusting them with flour like this. Do it just before baking so that the butter will not absorb the flour. It has been 10 minutes now since we put the batter into the refrigerator. The chef is going to fill a pastry bag with it. He has already fitted the pastry bag with a plain round tip. Give the pastry bag a squeeze to remove any air before you start piping. This is how you pipe, leaving enough space, about the size of your hand, between each mound. On this sheet, which he is now dusting with flour, the chef is going to pipe some more batter. These mounds will be about half the size of the others we did. After cooking, they are going to be shaped into small cornets or horns that we will use for decoration. This isn't absolutely necessary, but gives a very pretty final touch to this dessert. Before you put the baking sheet in the oven, tap it on the counter to spread the batter a little. The oven temperature is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and cooking time will be about 10 or 12 minutes. While the cornets or horns are cooking, we'll prepare the raspberry coulis. We are going to puree in a food mill 1 pound of fresh raspberries. Our cornets are now cooked. We must mold them immediately while they are still warm and supple enough to be shaped. You will notice that the chef hasn't removed the baking sheet completely from the oven. Like this, they won't harden too fast. If this happens, you just put the baking sheet back in the oven for a few seconds. As you see, to shape the cornets, he is using 3 small metal molds, which are miniature cream horn molds. As soon as they have cooled a little, you can unmold them. Now we will bake the feuillantines or wafers also at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and for 10 to 12 minutes. As soon as the wafers are cooked, transfer them to cool on a rack so they will stay crisp and crunchy because the air is circulating around them. Do not let them cool on the baking sheet or a flat surface, or the condensation will make them soggy.
Et à éviter que sous la cigarette, si vous la laissez sur plaque, il se forme une humidité qui va la ramollir. Le coulis, c'est
Back to the raspberry coulis.
moulin à légumes.
It is better to use a food mill because the seed will be separated from the juice. If you use a food processor, the seeds will be crushed in with the juice and your coulis would not taste the same. In any event, we strain the coulis so its texture will be smooth.
Le coulis au chinois. Voilà. Ensuite, il nous reste juste
Then add some sugar. For this amount of puree, about 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. Of course, you will adjust the amount of sugar according to your taste and the raspberry's degree of sweetness. Don't forget to put it in the fridge to chill.
légèrement sucré.
Now Chef Petrov is going to prepare the chantilly cream. For this, you will notice he has chilled the mixing bowl, as well as the cream. This is very important if you want the cream to stiffen easily.
J'ai pesé
For 2 cups of cream, he'll add 6 tablespoons of powdered sugar and a pinch of vanilla.
de sucre glace, parce qu'on sucre à 10% la chantilly, dans lequel on va ajouter une pincée de vanille. Alors pour monter la chantilly, on
Start
commence
whisking the cream
par
like
abattre,
this,
comme
so the
ceci,
air will be
de
incorporated
manière
into the
à
cream.
faire, rentrer de l'air dans la crème.
You continue like this.
Voilà, dès qu'elle commence à épaissir, on
And when it
ajoute,
starts to thicken, you add the sugar
et ensuite on
and vanilla
change le mouvement
and continue whisking until the cream clings to the whisk.
chasser l'air qu'on a fait rentrer dans le bol. Voilà. Voilà, elle commence
Continue
à
whisking.
prendre, elle se détache du bord.
But make sure you stop before it turns into butter.
Voilà, dès qu'elle tient au fouet, on arrête de fouetter avant que ce soit du beurre. Voilà, et on la garde.
Keep the chantilly cream in the fridge until you need it.
Alors, avant
The chef has
d'utiliser
asked his
la-
assistant to wash and separate the mint leaves for decoration.
on va
Now let's start assembling the wafers. Give the chantilly cream a few strokes with the whisk to be sure it is firm before you put it into a pastry bag, which he has fitted with a medium star tip this time.
garnir la poche.
Here is how you pipe it onto the wafers.
Voilà. Ensuite, on dépose
Next, you arrange the raspberries on top.
sur le bord. Alors,
The
les
recipes
recettes
we
que
are
nous
teaching at Le
faisons
Cordon
avec
Bleu
du cordon bleu
are on the highest professional
sont des
level.
recettes de
They have
haut
been
de gamme.
tested by the best chefs in
C'est-à-dire
France.
que elles ont
As
été
far as the
expérimentées
ingredients are concerned,
par les meilleurs
we
ouvriers
use
de
at the
France.
school only the very best of eggs,
Et au
butter,
niveau de
and
la
cream.
qualité des produits, on emploie que
There is
des
no margarine,
nobles.
no artificial additives normally used in commercially produced
Pas de
pastry.
margarine,
Everything is
pas de
natural
produits
and fresh.
chimiques, comme on fait dans les nouvelles pâtisseries. Tous les produits sont naturels, frais, un petit peu
We'll need a little rosette of chantilly here,
en bas.
so the next wafer will stay in place.
Voilà, comme ça va coller un peu mieux. Alors, la particularité
This is
de
a
ce
fresh
dessert,
and
c'est qu'il
light
est très
dessert which
léger
would be a perfect
et puis
finish
il
to
peut
any
être
gourmet
consommé
meal.
après un repas.
Now for a finishing touch to the feuillantine.
Alors, la
Here, like this.
particularité de ce dessert, c'est qu'il est très léger et puis il peut être consommé après un repas.
The chef and his assistant have been piping cream into the cornets, and look how pretty they are with a raspberry and mint leaf. Just like small horns of plenty. Here, the chef is making a miniature paper pastry bag. This is how you proceed. Cut out a triangle of parchment paper and roll it up so the 3 points line up. This takes a little bit of practice, but it's not difficult. The important thing to remember is that the 3 points must be lined up, one behind the other. Then you fold them inside like this.
Voilà, comme ceci. Les 3 pointes sont réunies. À ce moment-là, on plie à l'intérieur.
And you half-fill them with heavy cream.
Le cornet.
Remember, only half.
Surtout,
Now roll it towards the seamless side to close.
Et le côté de la fermeture se trouve derrière. Alors on plie. Voilà, on fait un petit essai.
Let's give it a try to see if it works. Yes, it works very well.
Oui, ça marche très bien. Voilà.
Present the feuillantines on a bed of raspberry coulis. Now you can see why the chef made the paper pastry bag. This cream decoration will give the finishing touch to this dessert. This dessert is not only delicious, but as you can see, it's also very lovely to look at. And I'm sure your guests will be delighted to try this recipe. This exclusive cordon bleu recipe.
And now we will do crêpes flambées with Michel Bénin. It's a very wonderful and easy recipe to do.
Nous allons présenter les crêpes Suzette. Pour la pâte à crêpes qui est
The crepe
composée
batter consists of flour,
de sucre,
sugar,
sel,
salt,
œufs,
eggs,
fondu.
melted butter, and milk.
Cette
The crepes will be filled with orange butter,
à l'orange, composée de
made
beurre
of butter, powdered sugar, orange zest, and cointreau.
et de cointreau.
They will be decorated with oranges and candied cherries.
Quelques oranges. Et des cerises.
Crepe batter. 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon sugar, a half teaspoon salt, 2 eggs, 3 tablespoons unsalted butter melted, 1 cup milk, 1 pinch vanilla powder or 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, unsalted butter for crepe pans, orange butter, 4 tablespoons unsalted butter softened, 2/3 of a cup powdered sugar, zest of 1 orange finely grated, 3 tablespoons cointreau, Unsalted butter for serving platter, zest of 1 orange, julienne, 1 orange, fluted and sliced, candied cherries, 3 tablespoons cognac, 3 tablespoons Cointreau. First, make the crepe batter. Put the flour into a bowl and form a well. Pour the sugar and salt into the center of the well. Break in the 2 eggs. And mix the ingredients in the middle of the well. Add the melted butter and continue to mix.
Et progressivement le lait.
Then pour in the milk a little at a time.
Plusieurs fois.
While mixing,
Faire des grumeaux.
adding the milk little by little prevents lumps from forming. Whisk the batter until it is very smooth.
Voilà, un petit peu de vanille pour parfumer.
Add a pinch of vanilla powder or a teaspoon of vanilla extract for flavor. Heat the crepe pans.
Alors avec un petit peu de beurre, on va graisser les poêles.
Heat the crepe pans and brush them with unsalted butter.
Voilà.
Wait for the pans to get very hot, and then ladle in a spoon of batter. Tilt the pan to distribute the batter evenly.
On fait tourner l'appareil tant que ça coule.
Turn the pan until the batter sets.
On pose sur le feu.
Now wait for the edges of the crepe to color lightly. Once the edges are colored, unstick the crepe gently with a metal spatula and turn it over.
Alors on va pas trop
Since
les
these
colorer.
crepes will be flamed later, don't color them too much now.
Alors cette quantité de pâte nous donne un peu
This
moins
quantity of batter will make about 20 to 25 crepes.
On va les mettre à refroidir.
Arrange the crepes on a rack to cool.
On va préparer maintenant le beurre.
Preparation of the orange butter.
Alors dans une petite bassine, le beurre.
To
très
prepare the orange butter, put the very soft butter and powdered sugar into a bowl. Use a grater to remove just the orange part of the peel, since the white part is bitter. Add the orange zest to the powdered sugar and butter.
bien mélangé pour que ça soit lisse.
Whisk them together well.
Le beurre, le sucre glace, le zeste d'orange, bien mélangé. Et après, on ajoutera le parfum, c'est-à-dire le le Cointreau, pardon. Hein, le Cointreau. Voilà.
Once
50
the
grammes.
mixture is very smooth, add the Cointreau and whisk it in well.
Sur le plat, pour pas que les
Brush
crêpes
the
collent.
serving platter with softened butter to prevent the crepes from sticking. Spoon a little bit of orange butter onto the middle of each crepe.
Alors, ce beurre, on l'étale légèrement.
Spread the orange butter and fold the crepes in quarters.
Et ensuite, encore en deux, c'est-à-dire en quatre. Et on pose sur le plat.
Arrange
comme
the filled
ceci,
crepes on the buttered
que
platter.
la garniture, quand on va chauffer, reste à l'intérieur. Alors,
Lay them so that the open end is higher than the point
on va voir,
to prevent the butter from running out of the crepes when they are reheated.
on va faire des zestes. Alors, avec un
For the orange decoration,
que la peau,
use a vegetable peeler to remove only the orange part of the skin. Slice this into julienne, or long, thin strips. Also, decorate with fluted half-orange slices and candied cherries.
Voilà. Maintenant, nous allons passer au four les crêpes pour les chauffer. Et
Just
les
before
flamber.
serving,
50 grammes de
heat the
Cointreau.
cognac and Cointreau in a small saucepan.
Cognac, parce que le cognac c'est plus alcoolisé, ça flambe plus facilement.
Since cognac has more alcohol than Cointreau, it burns easier.
Au dernier moment. Alors là, je fais chauffer l'alcool. Pendant que l'alcool chauffe, je mets le four.
While the liqueurs are heating, reheat the crepes in a 350-degree oven. Sprinkle the platter with the julienne of orange peel.
Le feu dans l'alcool chaud.
At the table, you will ignite the hot liqueur and pour it flaming over the hot crepes. This is a traditional French dessert which can be enjoyed all year round. And as you've just seen, it's quite easy to prepare.
And now for our last recipe, it is petites au almond. I'm sure you will enjoy it just as much.
Almond cream pastry. Serve 6. Chef Michel Bénard is going to make for you a PTVA, which is an almond cream-filled pastry. The basis for this dessert is puff pastry, which is made with flour, salt, water, melted butter, and regular butter. It's filled with an almond cream. Puff pastry. 1½ cups all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a cup cake flour, 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup cold water, salt, 3 tablespoons unsalted butter, melted, 14 tablespoons unsalted butter, 1 egg, lightly beaten for glazing. Almond cream, 6 tablespoons unsalted butter, 6 tablespoons sugar, 2 eggs, 2/3 of a cup ground almonds, 1 pinch vanilla powder or 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 2 tablespoons rum. We will start by making the puff pastry. We will use 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a cup of cake flour, salt, 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of cold water, and 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, melted. You make a well like this with the flour. In the middle, you put about ½ a teaspoon of salt,
5-6 grammes de sel.
the cold water,
150 grammes d'eau froide.
and the 3 tablespoons of melted butter.
40 grammes de beurre fondu. Légèrement faire fondre le sel.
First, you dissolve the salt like this.
Ensuite, avec la corne, le râteau,
Then you use your pastry scraper to blend all the ingredients, working it as little as possible.
trop élastique.
This is never done by hand, as your dough will become too elastic.
Pour pas avoir une
This is called the détrempe in pastry terminology.
première pâte que l'on fait, on appelle la détrempe du feuilletage.
You cut in the flour as the chef is doing.
Pour faire le mélange,
The détrempe can be prepared several hours in advance.
on peut se faire plusieurs heures à l'avance. On fait une boule avec la pâte.
When everything is blended, you form it into a ball. You can keep it in the fridge several hours.
La garder plusieurs heures.
So if you have worked the dough too much, it will lose its elasticity.
On la conserve.
Wrap it up in parchment paper or plastic wrap before you refrigerate it.
Si on la garde au frais, on l'enveloppe pour l'empêcher de sécher. Au frigidaire, voilà. Ensuite, on va prendre du beurre en morceaux, du beurre dur. Alors,
Then you measure out 14 tablespoons of butter, or a little more than 7 ounces, and shape it into a square with a rolling pin.
alors le beurre, on va l'aplatir pour former un carré avec le rouleau. 200 grammes de beurre.
Like this.
Nous reprenons notre détrempe.
Remove the détrempe from the fridge.
Alors, toujours un-
Dust the counter lightly with flour. Now we incorporate the butter into the détrempe. Note that the butter must have the same consistency as the détrempe, so it will blend evenly into the dough. First, we will envelop it in the middle of the dough. There must be an equal quantity of dough on top and underneath the butter. Roll out the dough into a square, leaving a small mound in the center. Put the butter on the mound and fold up the dough like this. Tap with a rolling pin to make it even and seal in the butter. Dust lightly with flour. Now that the butter has been enclosed, this is called the pâton. We are going to roll and fold the pâton a total of 6 times. Here we have a square, and you start rolling it out whichever way you like, into a long, even rectangle. Then you fold it in 3, brushing off any excess flour. Roll lightly to seal the folds. In pastry terminology, this is known as giving the dough a turn. Give the dough a quarter turn so that the seam will be on one side, like this. Roll it out again and repeat the process. This will be the second turn. Mark the dough twice so you will remember how many turns you have given it. Wrap it up and refrigerate for at least 30 minutes. To prepare the almond cream, we need 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, softened, and 6 tablespoons of sugar. In this mixing bowl, the chef is whisking the butter until it is creamy. Then he adds the sugar. Now incorporate 1 egg, then the other. And finally, 2/3 of a cup of almond powder. Whisk the ingredients well until creamy. And flavor with 2 tablespoons of rum. Now the almond cream is ready. It can be prepared in advance and kept in the fridge for several days. Now let's go back to the puff pastry. First, dust the counter with flour to prevent the dough from sticking. We have already given the pâton 2 turns, and here we are going to give it 2 more. So, we place the pâton like this, always with the seam on the same side, remember? And then we roll out the dough, the same length and thickness. And fold it again as we did before. This is the 3rd turn. Give it a 1/4 turn and repeat the whole process for the 4th turn. Roll it lightly to seal the folds. And mark it with 4 finger marks so we'll remember we gave the dough 4 turns. Put it back into the fridge for another 30 minutes. Then take the dough out of the fridge and give it the last 2 turns. Now the pâton is ready to use. We can proceed to the PTVA. Roll the dough out a little and cut it in halves. We are going to roll out each half, trying to give them a round shape, about 3/16 of an inch thick. Prepare a baking sheet and brush it with cold water, so the dough will adhere and will not shrink during baking. Put the first half of dough on the baking sheet and mark it like this, so we'll know where to put the almond cream. Don't forget to add the vanilla to the almond cream. Beat an egg for glazing and brush the dough with it. This is to seal the other pot of dough we will put on top and to prevent the almond cream from leaking during baking. Press the dough to seal. Use the heel of your hand so you won't pierce it. Now put it in the fridge to harden it a little, which will make trimming easier later on. Now we will trim and decorate the PTVA. Use a 9-inch cutter or a plate of about the same size and place it like this. Now with a small knife, make a scalloped edge all around. Brush with egg glaze and wait 1 or 2 minutes to let it penetrate the dough. When you do this, be very careful not to let the egg glaze run over the sides because it will stop the dough from rising. So just glaze the surface. Now for the final decoration, which is traditional for the PTVA. With the point of a knife, and starting at the center, you trace semicircles this way. It will help if you turn the baking sheet as you proceed. And now you mark it like this all around. This also helps the dough to rise. Make a little hole in the center so any air will escape. Close it now with a small bowl of dough which you have dipped in egg glaze. Put the PTVA in the preheated oven, which is about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 20 to 25 minutes, until it is puffy and golden.
Bon, maintenant, au bout de 20 minutes, notre gâteau est cuit. Nous allons le sortir du four.
Here is our baked PTVA.
Maintenant, nous allons le couper en essayant.
Use a serrated knife when cutting it. Observe how the chef is cutting the pastry. The knife moves very delicately without pressing down too hard. It only takes a little practice.
Et voilà, une portion. Nous avons fait le gâteau, le Pithiviers.
This pastry gets its name from the small town of Pithiviers, near Orléans. It is also called the Gâteau des Rois, King's Cake, and is traditionally served for the Epiphany Day feast. We'd like to wish you as much pleasure using this video cassette as we had in preparing it for you.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. For your extra viewing, we also have 7 additional cuisine videos, which I hope you will enjoy just as much. Thank you.